All right, welcome everyone. I'm super excited. So we have a kind of a spiritual weather report for you here from the expert, my dear friend and teacher, Donna Stellhorn. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming again and sharing your wisdom with us. So I've been talking nonstop to all of you about the eclipses that are coming up. What does it mean? Then there's before that, there's the equinox, and now we're really in the alleyway to it or near the threshold of it. And I figured it's so important that I really want you to understand, not just from me, but from somebody who really gets this and's been doing this for a really long time. And I'm going to share in a second a little more about Donna, but I wanted to just comment. I remember that one of the first times I met you a few years ago, you were telling me that astrologers looked at the charts for 2020 and that they were like, what's that? Like, wow. And that, when you look at this like the ancients did, you can see and you can like interpret, wow, big stuff's happening. It's just you don't necessarily know how it's going to unfold. And then we had the pandemic.
Right.
And then you told me 2024 and 2025 are way bigger than
Well,
whatever.
2025, 2026 are
Okay.
way bigger.
Okay.
This is our preparation year. This is our build up year. And so many opportunities are available. And, people need to approach this with, what do I want and how do I want to establish myself so that when the storm does come, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Like then you have a house made of brick instead of straw.
So we're going to talk about the eclipses today and some of the energies coming up, but there you go. And first I want to just share a little bit about Donna so you can find her, and you will find her link below. And of course, if you are on our let's see, let's get that going. If you're on our list, then we send out all the emails. We'll have her information as well. So thank you for coming. This is Akasha at nanakasha.com. And if you go subscribe, you'll get not really a newsletter, but we send out several emails letting you know what's going on. I do a spiritual weather report, which is interpreting some of these energies from my own perspective and how to apply them to your life. And then we also have a lot of other wonderful shows. So go ahead and let us know, oh, this isn't the right one. This is the wrong one. Okay. So let's just do your bio. So today we're going to talk about the eclipses, but I want you to know about a little bit about Donna, and as an astrologer and a feng shui expert, and 20 books, including Feng Shui Form and the best-selling booklet, Sage and Smudge. She writes weekly and monthly predictions for astrology.com and horoscope.com. And she offers a growing catalog of video courses. I have the Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart, so you should go get that. And the Tarot Reading the Natural Way. And of course, she's a consultant, so you can do sessions with her, and I highly recommend it. And she's a consulting astrologer, and she specializes in predictive Western astrology and sees clients every day, literally. She's on the board of NCGR in San Diego, which is a big deal for astrologers. And for fun, she makes YouTube videos. And when she wants to be terrified, she does stand-up comedy. I love that. Chris loves stand-up comedy, used to take classes. And her favorite place is Iceland. Wow. But she currently lives in Oceanside, which is also quite wonderful. Yeah, those are very different. Very, very different. So you can find her at donnastellhorn.com, and definitely check out her YouTube channel at that right there. And the YouTube channel, you do like the new moons and the full moons and all these other things, so that you can find a lot of really good information there. It's always my first go-to place when something's coming up.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and continue that conversation. We have, looking a little bit more than just at what's the next month. We do have this whole decade, so to speak, of a metamorphosis happening,
Correct.
massive
Yeah, there's a
changes.
bigger storm coming, and there's a little storm happening in April, and it's nothing like we went through in 2020. And so it's just one of those little squalls that come in to remind us, what our path is. And if we need a course correction, it helps us along. That's what eclipses are for. If there is a storm coming, you can change course. You can go around it. You can say, you know what, I'll stay in the harbor here. So
Yeah, exactly. That's why I call when I do the weather, the spiritual weather report, because it's sort of like I want to look at what the weather is and not plan a picnic in a hurricane
yes.
on the beach. And so it's pretty relevant. So okay, so we're talking about, as we're approaching this, we have the equinox. And I know you don't do a lot about that. That's one of my things, because I like to do my retreats on the equinox because of that balance, right?
It's we call it an ingress, and it's super important in astrology, but more for mundane predictions. So I use it to literally predict the weather, as well as to see what's going to be happening in the government, in the United States, in my city. So now you can use an ingress chart to give yourself a prediction for a 3-month period. But yeah, but we're looking at it still as a predictive tool rather than a place where I don't know how you use it, maybe to come into balance or a new beginning.
The pyramids that we go to in the Mayan pyramids are built aligned to the equinoxes. The temples are built aligned to the equinoxes. So they have the one nearest me has a temple that, if you get access, which we do sometimes before dawn, the sun rises through this temple. And the Mayan used it for what they called a solar initiation. They would stand, and it comes hit here and so on. And so there's a lot of their architecture, sacred geometry involved in what they built, and similar to, like the Egyptians and stuff's still here, and absolutely perfectly aligned. Really crazy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So then I have a list here somewhere. Let's see. So after the solstice and the first day of spring, so that's March 19th officially. Then on the 22nd, Mars enters Pisces. And so Mars in Pisces is a very spiritual placement, only happens once every 2 years, happens for a couple of months. Then on March 25th, we have the lunar eclipse. Mercury goes retrograde on April 1st. The solar eclipse is April 8th. And then around April 20th, Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, will conjunct Uranus, which is the planet of sudden surprises. So we have a surprise coming.
Yeah. Did you want to share your screen? You can anytime you want. Feel free.
Yeah, I don't have it set up for that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So on the 20th, you said, is when Jupiter and Uranus?
Yes, it's actually from April 14 to April 26, but I think the energy will peak around the 20th.
Okay.
So, and it's going to be at around 21 degrees of Taurus. So if you know your chart, then you can find where that falls in your chart, what area of life it's going to be in. So in the world, it could be, surprises, but I mean, the way the news cycle is, they will have, somebody will have anticipated it and done a program on it. So, but it's more about, if you want to pivot, there may be a very strong desire to make a change. Like maybe you were waffling over a decision, you may suddenly make a change during that period and say, I'm committed. This is the direction I'm going.
But you might not know until you get closer to that. It may
Correct,
not feel like
because you were waffling. So
yeah, and that's part of the Uranus energy, is like now.
Now and surprise, let's go in a whole new direction. And so, and the waffling could have been, should I stay in this job? Should I get another job? And then you wake up that day and you go, yep, I am moving to Iceland, so neither job is going to work, so it could be something that dramatic, but it's also something generally that deep down you really, really want, but maybe you're not allowing yourself to have for some reason.
And where does that come from? Is that the energy that's happening right now? Those
Well, this is
deeper ones?
Taurus, and Taurus has a desire to possess and to experience, and it's a very tactile, physical sort of energy.
Right.
And so, our everything that we're told about success and all that, it's all getting redefined. And it has been now for several years. Uranus has been traveling through Taurus for a while. And we're seeing less and less, I have to own a house. Well, maybe you don't. Have to live in this neighborhood. Well, maybe you don't. I have to have this job, and retire at a certain age. Like, maybe you don't. So everything like that is changing, and we get to say to ourselves, okay, what is it that I want? What is it that I need?
Okay. Yeah, it's such an interesting sign because, being that earthy sign that's likes things that are nice, right?
Yes.
Likes thing. I know I live with one. So he doesn't like a lot of stuff individually. He just likes the one perfect nice thing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and there's a sense of possession too. Like I need to own this, whether it's a thing or an experience. So people saying, like, I have to have this experience.
Mhm.
And ahead of this, then we have the two eclipses. So the lunar eclipse, so any lunar eclipse is an experience where the moon, which is what you need and what you're longing for, is trying to reach the sun, which is this ideal state, and the earth is in the way, right? And the earth represents all the mundane stuff, like, oh, I got to get to my job, and I don't have, breakfast ready, and, my coffee tastes weird, or like all of the everyday stuff is in the way. And so when we consider that's the storm, then the moon is like, but I need to get to my ideal. So how can I shift? How can I change something to do that?
And that's where we're going now, because this is the full moon on the
Mhm.
25th is the first eclipse.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
which I
So
notice no one is talking about in the normal world. They're all talking about the 8th because you can see it across the US. And
correct,
so I
yes.
get all these science emails of all my sciencey guys out there doing the stars, and they're all just April 8th, April 8th, April 8th, get your glasses. And nobody
Yep.
has even mentioned that there's a first eclipse on the 25th.
Correct, correct. And so the full moon comes first in this case. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we'll even have a solar eclipse sandwiched by two lunar eclipses. That can happen. So, but then we get the solar eclipse on the 8th. And so in the solar eclipse, the thing in the way is your emotions. That's where the moon, which is what you need, becomes so big it blots out the sun. And
Eclipses.
and so then your emotions are in the way, and that could be your fear or your real attachment to something, or that you're angry about something, or you're holding on to the past, or you're only wishing for the future but not doing. So that's what's in the way.
Okay, so on the lunar eclipse, we have a full moon. So we're going
Yes,
to have all the usual full moon energies.
correct.
However, tell us a little bit about that particular full moon, if it was separate from the eclipse, which it isn't, but the idea of a full moon has certain energies.
Right. So this is a Libra full moon slash eclipse. And so Libra is about connecting to someone. Like, do I have somebody in my life? Am I, happy with the relationship? Does the relationship feel balanced? Libra is very much like a tennis game where, if I hit the ball to you, you have to hit it back to me. Otherwise, there's no game. So the interaction has to go both ways. And so this is in the eclipse slash full moon. It's, you're at the party, the full moon, but the people talking to you aren't the people you wanted talking to you. And you want to talk to those people over there, and you want them to have a conversation with you, not just, like, hey, and then walk away. So this is all about how we're relating, and, what we need to do to have friends in our life or a relationship in our life.
So then the Libra is like that. I don't know. I want to say nice. Oh, I'm trying to find a better word for nice, like that nice, let's all be happy, let's all be friends, let's all come together, or let me help you.
Well, Libra can be that, but Libra has two sides. And so Libra is also the general or the chess master that says, now I've got you cornered. So, and now you must relate with me. Now you have to interact with me. So we even find, like, if you go to a martial arts class, you're going to get a higher percentage of Libra energy, that sun, moon, or ascendant in that class. It just happens that you get the peace loving and you get the war.
Yeah,
In
peace and
Libra.
war and
Yeah.
war. Okay. And so then for that full moon, being that it's eclipse as well, the energy, instead of being like, oh, it's a party, it's a harvest, I get to have my stuff. What's our focus? What's our optimal
Well,
way
this
to
is,
enter?
so the party is, I want to go there and I want to meet these people, but now because it's an eclipse, the earth is so big, it's like, oh, but I got to get the hors d'oeuvres out, and I don't have ice, so let me run to the store. So you're not at the party. You're so busy doing things that you're not interacting with the people, and so it keeps feeling like it's ending up short. And yet there's like, if I don't serve food, is everybody going to be mad at me? So there's all of these dynamics of feeling like you're forced to do stuff when you just want to interact with people. And so how much is in your head? How much is feeling compelled by others? And some people will just say, well, heck with it. I'm just going to sit in the corner and eat my own hors d'oeuvres and skip you people. But the eclipse says, no, 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 you still need to connect. Now you feel lonely. Now you feel isolated.
Interesting. So then when we approach it, what's the best preparation? Because I know that one of the most powerful things you've told me is that, we can see these things are coming, and instead of just sitting and waiting till we get run over or being afraid of what might happen or how it might show up, and it doesn't always show up right away. Right? It's not going to happen that day. It might be 3 weeks later. That's another thing. But that we can use this energy now. That's the reason to have this wisdom now.
Correct. Yes, we can use up that energy. And some of that right now would just be go see the people, go connect with people rather than getting things ready or working on your to-do list or just doing the physical stuff in preparation for it. So, and that is, it is also maybe though about confronting relationships that you do have. And instead of just sitting there dusting, you say, you know what you said to me earlier, we need to talk about that and have that difficult conversation.
Is that one way you can use the other side of that Libra energy, is to like empower yourself to speak up? Empower yourself to be able to speak up, not necessarily have to attack someone, but take it maybe not from one extreme to the other, but a little bit on that side if you need some of that strength to speak up, because that's the thing coming up for a lot of people now. Oh, I haven't been speaking up. I haven't been expressing myself.
Yes, it is, both wanting to be liked is Libra, but also diplomacy, which diplomacy is basically telling something to someone that they don't want to hear but saying it in a way that they go, oh, okay, all right, I can do that. Finding a way through differences.
So if there's an eclipse on the full moon, we're talking about a lunar eclipse, right? So you said that yourself is the sun is representing the self, that ideal self.
Yes.
Right. And the emotions are there. And so how do we use the emotional energy, right, in order to not go into frustration and maybe embody that conversation within ourselves, like, hey, come on, let's do something different now. Let's get past the fear. Is there some way of using that?
Well, because this is a Libra eclipse, that means the moon is in Libra. That ideal position for the sun is Aries, right? And so Aries is self-contained and going to take action when action is needed, is going to say, what I'm doing is not dependent on someone else. I'm an independent being. And so if that is thinking for ourselves, not just, reacting to what others are doing.
Mm.
And so as we are guiding our moon energy in a direction, it would be to get to this home place of, okay, I love myself, and therefore I'm attracting people who are like-minded in that, who love me also, and I am attracting people that I love. So because I'm in this place of love, this singularity of love.
So it's quite interesting to think then you're going to feel like this need to be with people or this desire to connect and distracted with mundane crap that you doesn't really get you where you want to go. And so there'll be that frustration and that sense of eclipse, right, of being cut off from this ideal place that where you can be independent, where you will connect to the people you love, that it's all there. So it's sort
Yes.
of out of your reach.
Yes, it feels
Okay.
out of reach. And the world offers so many easy distractions, more so ever than before. It is so easy to be distracted and therefore have our emotions played with, taken in a direction to say, oh my gosh, well, if my teeth don't look really white, they're not going to like me, and this is ridiculous, right? This is just a campaign. This is not
Yes.
real, but we can get caught up in that. And so now, instead of meeting the person, we're in the bathroom brushing our teeth. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so easy to do. I can sense that sometimes. I'm a big doer. Let's go, let's make it happen. And yet, I know better than to push stuff and, whatever. And then I will find that like I'll wake up one day and I've been doing a lot every day. And I'm like, okay, another day of like completing this or moving this project forward. And it'll be like, I just want to go garden. Right. I just
Well,
want to do something that doesn't require it is that more mundane thing.
but we can also get so busy preparing the party that we forget to invite the guests.
Oh
And
my
that is,
God.
like someone sends you an email and then you jump into some sort of mode of let's get this done and get this done and this done. And they're just sitting there like, I guess they don't care. They didn't respond. When we could have responded with, oh, thank you. I'll work on that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you forget to invite the guests. That's really that's a good one. I'm gonna stick that one in there because I can understand that. Right now I'm getting ready to go for 2 retreats, right?
Mhm.
Over the equinox, a dolphin Mayan one, and then after that, an inner goddess one that follows right on it. So I'm very busy inviting people and signing people up. And we leave the 24th to come home. So on the 25th, I will be alone after
Yeah.
having been with a lot of people, which isn't the norm for me in person. So I'm sort of like,
Yeah.
now, will that be something where I'm going to forget to do something now and realize, wait a minute, there's no one coming next. Like I've just focused on this and not what's coming in April?
No, because eclipses are over a period of time. So you are using up enough of the energy before the eclipse that yeah, there's enough disruption and change and all of that going on. You'll come back and make some decisions about how you run future retreats and your interaction with different people. And eclipses can also mark just a decision that you make that unfolds over 6 months.
Okay.
So it can be that you just decide around the 25th, I am going to spend more time with the people I care about. And if I don't have them in my life right now, I'm going to go find them.
Mm,
And
mm,
that decision then may take weeks or months to actually manifest.
wow. Okay, good. So is there anything predictive for the equinox since it comes, just before this, a little less than a week before that, that is relevant for us to know, or should we now focus on like the between the two eclipses?
So the biggest thing about this is that when we get that ingress chart, it is going to have Jupiter, that planet of expansion, very close to Uranus, that planet of sudden surprises. And so that kind of marks what the 3 months are going to be about. And I talked about this in one of my videos, how we're in the dragon year and next year's the snake year. And the shape of these two creatures is this sort of undulating shapelessness of being able to take on the form around it. And so basically, if you're faced with sudden changes, it is adapt. And, the biggest thing that we can do to prepare, it's not that, well, having a stockpile of money, I suppose, is very helpful. Having those skills is more helpful because skills help you adapt. But also, just the number one thing would be adaptable. Recognize how the world is changing and then, say, this is what I want, but I'm not attached to that outcome because I know that there's other things I could want also.
Yes, yes, yeah. I know when I first got on my spiritual path, like almost 40 years ago, I got these cards, Native American cards, and I was fascinated with the serpent or the snake because it said transformation, right? Transformation, this idea of transformation. And since then has evolved enormously for me. And here, of course, the Maya, their entire science, their astrology, everything was based on a particular snake and the pattern in it taught them movement and measure of all time, and they built everything from it. And so I'm very into that energy now. And they come to us and it's shed, shed, shed. Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Shed the old, like we even did an activation at a pyramid once. Afterwards, we got up, we walked around, and then we were walking along the wall, the ancient wall, and no lie, there was a snake skin hanging. You know how they rub, and so but it was just hanging. We're like, oh my gosh. And the thing is that they're perfectly formed already underneath. So I always find that to be so powerful is like, remember, it's not like you're going to shed the old and then be standing here naked like a little bird that doesn't know anything. You're already perfectly formed. And the rattlesnake builds a new rattle, which is similar to our crown chakra every time it sheds.
I see. Oh, that's so interesting.
Very interesting. So the other thing I found out last year on retreat is the iguanas are here, and they came up. One iguana came up into our circle at the pyramid and was licking our bags and talking to us and sitting there, and it was amazing. And you could see that the tail that it had lost, dropped a tail and regrown it.
Yeah.
And I knew that lizards did that. I wasn't quite sure. And then some woman came over, started telling us all this information, is that they shed too. So I was wondering, wow, we don't know. Do dragons shed? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's very interesting. And yeah, I think the transformation part of this is really what we're going to see in 2025 because we have a lot of the slower moving planets going into new signs. And so they must let go of the old energy to go through the door. Eclipses are the same thing. Eclipses are like you're leaving a room, going into another room. So that means you're not in the old room anymore. You are in the new room. So that's the eclipse is the transfer into the new life, the new thing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because we have two eclipses, and I know some people call it eclipse season. I talk about it as a portal, but because there's two, to me, the way I see it energetically is you go in one and you come out the other one, and there's this bridge. And energetically, it's kind of who you're being while you're between those two that determines, it's like Harry Potter stairs that move. You get on that and it's doing this between the eclipses, depending on you, depending on the energy you're using, like all the things we're talking about. And then it will deposit you through the April 8th one into your new reality, right? Energetically, mentally, emotionally kind of idea. So that's the energies that I usually see. And so I find it's, between those two is a very important part as well. But you share your expert advice on how we go through this.
Well, this particular eclipse does have that energy because they are related. Not all eclipses are. The ones we get in the fall are not related to each other. And because we have the lunar eclipse in Pisces and then the solar eclipse in Libra. And so the energy is quite different. But This one does, because it's Libra, then Aries. They are related. So we call it eclipse season because the things that happen during eclipses don't happen on the day of the eclipse. In fact, technically, it's a low energy day. So it's, I don't recommend people like launch a business or get married. Certainly don't get married on an eclipse. So, because it would be like getting anything in the doorway of something, or mid shed, as you were talking about. Like when the snake is shedding its skin, it's most vulnerable during the shedding process, correct? So that's the eclipse time. So that's why we don't try to do some big launch during that time. It's a time to be focused on where the inner growth is and what kind of decisions that we're making. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Share a few more things for people of don't do on an eclipse, because last year I went to Greece and a bunch of people were flying back on the eclipse. And I'm like, because I know you. So I just enjoyed another night in Athens and enjoyed my day and came back the next day.
Yeah, I think why push it? So, and I do know, like this is in the United States this time, and so lots of people are going to go see it. And I will tell you, if you go and see it, your life will change dramatically over the following 6 months. If that's what you're looking for, yay. Okay. And I hope then that you're steering that change, because otherwise it's the universe that's going to decide.
And how do you do that? How do you steer that change?
You steer that change by taking action in that direction.
Okay.
But because the universe is a very powerful force, if you go and see the eclipse and then you are saying basically, yes, I want my life to change. I would like it to be here. So you place your order, but the universe may deliver you something else because the universe sees that that's a better way for you to learn the lessons that you need and still get you, what you want. That's this kind of dynamic tension that we're always in with the universe,
And the other thing I really love that you say, because I believe it too, is that all of this is happening for us, even when it seems difficult and challenging and unpleasant.
Yeah.
It's for our highest good, because we really can't see the path we're on. I always imagine we're the deep sea diver in the big metal suit with the tube.
Yeah.
The universe is up there going, just keep walking. We know everything from up here. You don't know anything. Just walk ahead.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Right?
Yeah. Because there is a
conscious.
bigger picture up there.
Yeah.
And that picture spans multiple lives also.
Yes.
And so it can be like you said, in this life, you wanted to struggle with relationships, so you really learned them. And then you're down here going,
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I see, having done this for a long time and looking into people's energy fields and doing shamanic journeying and getting to see these other lives and these other parts of our soul and things that we've cut off or hidden or been afraid of. But what I really see is that we brought all of these patterns from the lives that have these similar challenges, or the wisdom and the powers from having these challenges, intentionally to complete them this life, because we knew this moment was happening, this opportunity for massive change and evolution. And so the good news is that if you've been struggling with relationships or health or whatever it is, that those patterns, you came with the ability to complete that and move into something new. And this is one of the portals, right, of possibly stepping into something new.
Yes, this is that opportunity to make some sort of change, a new decision, and that creates a new direction for you. So the solar eclipse is in Aries, and Aries is about being self-directed, deciding what action you're going to take, being action-oriented enough to take an action. But also at the same time, recognizing like, okay, oftentimes we want to have the relationship and the person to understand us, but we don't want to take the time to understand them. And we think we are correct. Why aren't they coming around to our point of view when we're not necessarily even entertaining their point of view? So this is the Aries challenge. And this is where the moon, which is our emotions, is so big. So our anger, our frustration, our desire to take action, our sense of me is so big, it blots out the sun. It blots out the ideal.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So, Ed, is there something that's, because they're related, is there something that sort of opens or starts in the full moon lunar eclipse? That's good to sort of like take in the journey through till the April 8th one, the solar.
Yeah, to look at the relationships that you have. And when you get to that Aries point of the solar eclipse, to say, am I satisfied with the relationships I have? Because Aries says, if not, go take action.
Right.
You know, I run into a lot of people who say, you know, like, I'm not finding love. And so, and my first question is, how many dates are you doing a week? Like, how many new people are you meeting a week? And they'll say, well, less than one. Okay, this is going to take a really, really long time because, you know, if you're looking for the opposite gender, there's 4 billion of them. You have a lot to get through.
And you only need one, but that's going to take a few
Right. And
lifetimes,
then,
right?
so let's say this was hundreds of years ago where it was very limited. Well, then you were going to adjust because this was the only person in the village who was eligible and at the age and all. So you adjusted and they adjusted. Now we're in a time where nobody wants to adjust. So then go meet a lot of people and you will find your match, or meet few people, but adjust.
But adjust. So if you really are committed to what you want, and I do suggest that you go, you put that out there and then let the universe co-create with you, because there's something way better than what you can imagine. I never would have moved here if I was using this, you know.
Right.
I never would have
Yeah.
found this place. However, that idea that, yes, and I do find that a lot, you know, people are like, I'm frustrated, I've been doing my work for so long, when's it going to happen? Why didn't it happen? Why am I feeling frustrated again? And it's amazing how we've been conditioned to be obsessed with, why isn't it now? When's it going to happen? When that means that we're being the fly butting our head against the window until we die while the door is open across the room.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the fact is you do have to change. That change is coming, clearly, as you say. You
Yes.
don't need to do scary things. And yet the power that happens when you're willing to take that action, do something new, nothing is going to be the same anymore. And if you want a different relationship, what a good idea to do something new, do something
Yes.
different.
Yeah. And that can be an emotional change. And so that might be just letting go of the outcome. And so instead of attending the party or the event with the idea, I'm going to find this person, go there to meet everyone and see who they are and what it's about, and stop, you know, saying I have to be in a relationship. And then you're flocked by people who want to be in a relationship with you. It is just like, it's like going into the bank when you don't need the loan. That's when they're going to give you the loan. So
It's
you,
when you want the apology, right, from
yes,
somebody. You're never going to get it. Once you let go, you don't care anymore. They go, oh, I'm so sorry.
yep, yes. So because, you know, the universe is trying to teach us that the process is what's important, not the outcome. And so by letting go of the outcome, we allow the universe to bring us something that's better. And by better, the universe means you get the lesson and the gift.
I like that. I want the lesson and the gift. I think
Yes.
that we've felt like we've just been getting slapped with lessons for a very long time. It
Yes.
has felt that way, even though it's not true. It's the way we perceive it.
Well, it's because the lesson is what you said about the fly. You think you're learning a lesson, but in actuality, the lesson is to turn and see there's a door, not that the lesson is banging your head.
Yes.
So you're
Yes.
not learning the lesson. That's why you're in pain.
Right. And you keep struggling because you're doing the same thing and you're attached to, it needs to be this way, it needs to come at this time, and all of that. And that's to me one of the big paradigms that thankfully we're shedding,
Yes.
is, this conditioning of you need to know what you're going to do. You need to know where you're going to go. You better have a plan. You better have a goal. You better be working 80 hours. And I don't find that a lot of those, not that you shouldn't take action, but that a lot of those old paradigms of overworking, overthinking get in the way.
Yeah. So a little story. So I had a client who wanted to sell her little shop and she wanted $100,000, which I thought was a stretch because she didn't own the property. Anyway, we set it up, we found the timing, we did the feng shui, we did all of that. And so she's about a month into this process, and her mother-in-law writes her and says, she was then a widow, but the mother-in-law writes and says, I sold some property. Here's a check, $100,000. And I said, great, that's it. You got your wish. And she said, no, I have to sell the store. So she took the 100,000 and she put it into the store and made it better until the money was gone. And then she shuttered the store. And it was just because she had this very, very particular way this money was supposed to come to her. But the universe said, turn around, the door's the other direction.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. I had that happen. I didn't do that, but I was doing all my manifesting stuff years ago, and boom, this $200,000 came to me, but not from where I thought, not from where I expected, not at all. And I was like, yay, me. Okay, now I have to think this one through now to see what's gonna, what do I do with this? So, wow. Anything else for the April 8th one that we should know? The solar eclipse?
So massive action is what Aries is about. And so oftentimes we think we're taking action when we are, like consuming. So sometimes it is much better to stop for a moment and then do something based on all of the information that we're collecting. Because now we're in a world of unlimited information. And so we can just continue to, read the next book and do the next podcast and go on and on and on, when it's better to take one little piece of that and then look at where we're heading in our car of life and say, should I be on this freeway? Should I get off the freeway? It's harder to do, because that might mean, shifting the relationship that you're in some way, like having a different conversation that takes time and energy and thought. But that's what's important with this eclipse, is to actually do something with all this information.
Okay. So the other things that I know I've experienced with Aries is it's the first sign. They think they're number one, right?
They would like to be, yes.
Different than Leo, the way that's perceived, but it's that first energy. And of course we have the boom, 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 just go for it energy. So taking that in to take massive action, yet aligned action, what's the best?
Well, I'm going to say just taking some action at least is then you're in motion. So if you're then driving through the intersection and you're saying, oh, I was supposed to turn, well, at least you're driving and now you can go find a place to make the U-turn, etc. Versus just sitting there at the light, checking your phone, not moving at all. That's not going to be an Aries sort of action. And yes, I know Aries can really bump its head because it is about taking action without really considering. So it's kind of that ready, fire, aim sort of energy. But in this case, that's better than ready.
I literally used to have a client who would tell me, I'm getting ready to get ready to think about making this plan.
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm watching energetically, I'm getting ready to get ready to get ready, right? All these things being piled in front, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of things in the way.
And that brings up that idea of, I don't feel ready, right? So, but Aries is, you're going to feel ready when you're already doing it. Like it's the same with, like I can't find my passion. Well, that's because you're not doing anything. When you're good at something, you will be passionate about it. But
Yeah.
you haven't done anything enough to feel like you're good at it. So therefore, you can't be passionate about it yet. It's too early.
Yeah.
So you're
Right.
asking for the fruit before the thing is sprouted.
Yes, yes, that's very well in the consumerist of culture,
Yeah.
that we've been in just,
Yeah.
I live in the jungle on the beach, so I go to town once a month, unless I have to for some other reason, and I walk around the mall and I'm just like, wow, this used to be like, let's do this for a day.
Mhm.
I walk around and look at things. Do I need this? Do I need this? And I don't have that anymore. So like
Yeah.
finding things that you can do and be in motion that aren't about. My one daughter stopped going to the mall with us. We were walking. If it was
Mhm.
cold, we'd walk in the mall a long time ago. But she didn't want to go because she saw all these things she wanted and she couldn't have them and she didn't have the money. So she'd rather not have the yearning to have
Sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That
uh,
makes sense. But it's like kind of like watching a lot of tutorials on cooking or crafts or something like that, but never making anything.
yeah,
Like
not
Aries
getting
is
that
about
out.
make something, do
Eh,
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect, right? It can just
Correct.
be
Aries
play.
is more about get it done and very little about perfectionism. So,
Ah,
yeah,
good. Very different than Virgo, huh?
very different than Virgo or Capricorn for that
Or
matter. Yeah.
Capricorn, yeah, my beebs. So we're going to wrap up in a sec, but I would love to, and I would love for you to share anything around the most famous topic, money. So what everyone wants to know, where's the money, why is the money, and all the rest of that. So as we moving through this particular period, what's any particular thing different? Of course, we can apply the energies that you've shared to that
Yeah.
topic, but
Yeah.
anything in particular?
Well, the interesting thing is, when we think about the dragon and that undulating energy that we see in the dragon, think of the stock market that way as well. And now we have Mercury retrograde on April 1st through, I think, the 25th, and then two eclipses. So we're bound to have a shift in the market.
Okay.
Market's been going up, so it may drop quite rapidly. So, and that's okay. All right, because if you're in it for the long term, it doesn't matter. If you're in for like if you have some cash, you may have a bargain to buy. So, and if you're diversified, you may not notice, right? So there's a lot of different strategies that will allow you to be fine in this market. So I think we get worried about missing out of something. So, but if you're a long-term investor, there's no problem, right?
And personally, money or career
For
or
personal
taking
money, this
action,
is Aries Libra, which is if you don't have enough money, you're not seeing enough people. And that is, like do down to the basics. It's not your website, it's your one-on-one interaction with your clients or customers. If this is about, sending out resumes, you need to find the connections because right now your resume is being read by some sort of bot. You need to go out on LinkedIn and make connections so that when your name pops up on somebody's board, they go, that name is familiar. And that makes the connection and that gives you the job. So it's about one-on-one connections right now.
perfect. So think about that. That is a really good distinction that I think people could meditate on. Like you've said, many of the things you've said, so relevant because they sound simple, but if you sit with it and take it in, you're going to see that there's a different level, right? I think I'm taking action, right? Or I'm waiting for the answer to come and then I'll take action
Right. Or
and
I'm waiting for it to feel right.
feel
It's
right.
not going to feel right because it's scary. It's a big unknown to interact with somebody else. And so that's why we put a whole bunch of things in the way of interacting with others. But if we recognize that we are scared and that's okay, we don't know how they're going to react, that's okay. So, and there are, 8 billion other people we can talk to. So if they say no, we're still okay. Like, we just need to talk ourselves through that little process. And then we go, oh, wait, this is easy. I've been talking to people since I was like 2.
Yeah, I know. And I know a lot of us have gone through ups and downs of, being traumatized and then hiding and hermiting and coming
Yeah.
out and back and forth and all of that stuff. So wonderful, fantastic. Anything did we miss? Anything that you want to wrap up with?
I'm not thinking of anything. So, yeah, I think this is a really exciting time. Dragon years are exciting energy, and the possibilities can be big and wondrous. And so, if you are, yeah, I do have something, because I stumbled on this list from Louise Hay, and it was like 8 different things to love yourself, but the first 2 I thought were really, really good. And so the number 1 was don't criticize yourself, and the second one was don't scare yourself. So, and the don't scare yourself, which the media is really, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I get a call from who say, should I be stockpiling canned goods? And like, we're right now in this really abundant year. This isn't the mindset to have. Yeah, should you have a couple weeks of food? I'm in an earthquake zone, so yeah. But beyond that, you need to be interacting with people. You need to be gaining skills. So because, with AI coming and all of that, just have more skills. And a lot of those are going to be people skills that are needed. And when you have that, you're fine.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? The age of AI and the Aquarius and the technology and all of this and the conversation about good, bad, and everything else. And yet underneath that, it's really, this is going to free us, right? It's like having somebody come, I'm going to take over a lot of this stuff. And
Yep.
instead of being like, no, I want to hold control of it, what do we get to do? Well, the AI can't do the people
Yes,
connections.
they can't do the people thing.
Very
So
nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. Well,
Sure.
as always, it's just brilliant and very, very insightful.
Well, thank you so much. Hi to everybody. Enjoy these eclipses. They're going to give you that view of the door, and then you can go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I recommend that you listen to this and then you go back and you take notes, or you listen a second time and look at your notes because there's a lot of distinctions here, and they're things that will have little ahas, I think, for most people. And it's I think, and I never really liked astrology. I first got on the path a very long time ago, and I thought that's silly, and now it's like my best friend. I want to know. I'm a little less scared as I was when we first started working together. I was like, I have to know every single moment to start this on that day, and a little less intense about that. However, it dramatically changes things if you do align
Sometimes you
yourself.
get on the freeway and there's traffic, but if you want to know if there's going to be traffic or an accident or construction, you check the chart. That's it. Yeah.
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 Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And again, donnastellhorn.com, and look her up on YouTube. I go on my phone, I go to YouTube, and I don't even have to type your name in now. It gives me YouTube, my YouTube, and then your YouTube as my first
Thank
choices.
you. That's
I was always
awesome.
like, what's Donna say?
Thank you.
So, well, thank you so much, sweetie. Thank you, everybody. Please share this with everybody that you love, everybody that you know. And even if they only get one little aha out of it, I think this is how, as a community, as a growing global community, we can share this information. We can help each other through these times to see, and the best way to help ourselves is to help ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, everybody, thank you. Akasha here. And make sure that you come to nanakasha.com, subscribe here, get notifications, whatever that little bell is, because it will tell you when we go live. And I do a lot of lives. And in the meantime, enjoy this beautiful threshold as we move into this incredible moment, and enjoy the dragon year, and make sure that you look, because we do have also Donna came and did a whole show for us on the year of the dragon. So make sure you check that out too, because the energies this year are quite exceptional, like you said. Okay, bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Take care.